Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Capricorn April 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is as far as April goes, well, the sun will be in Aries from the 1st until the 19th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Aries, well, this could be, at this time for Capricorn, I should say, this will be a time where a lot of strong attention, focus, and concentration of energy will be will go into home-related matters, people you're close at home with, even roots and traditions, perhaps, and with a lot of Aries like aggressiveness, assertiveness, and even in some cases, it could be a lot of this combative energy and done in a very spontaneous, extemporaneous manner. You may be putting a lot, really might be more of a confrontational period with people you're close to home with at this time, and also people that are in your family life at this time as well. And remember, too, I mean, when the sun's in Aries, the energy level could also be very high. So you probably won't be short of it as far as fourth house related matters go, such as getting in touch with roots, traditions, maybe initiating new foundations, and home and family life in general. Next thing up is as far as April goes, the sun will be in Taurus from the 19th until the 30th. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, there could be a strong concentration of energy, attention, focus into fifth house matters such as romance, children, creative endeavors, hobbies and interests, things of enjoyment, and even things perhaps connected with gambling and speculation. This could be done with a lot of that Taurus-like energy, such as being very deliberate, methodical, doing these things with really ponderous energy. The gambling speculative thing could be done with a lot of premeditation and planning, considering, I mean, this is the forecast for Capricorn, arguably the most premeditative of all the zodiac signs. And then you have the Taurus energy in here, which is very good because Taurus energy is very ponderous and they're very plotting. They don't, Taurus energy is not going, it doesn't generally move unless it, when it knows it's absolutely necessary. I should know something about this, having Taurus rising, of course. So anyway, next thing up is the new moon will be in Aries on April 15th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time for Capricorn, this could be a time where Capricorn might embark on a new home-related project with a lot of aggression, assertiveness, enterprise, and initiative. In some isolated cases, this could be the arrival of a new Aries sun, moon, or ascendant family member, or simply somebody that embodies Aries-like characteristics. This could be a thing too where there might be beginnings of new, maybe Aries-like traditions. It can be connected with maybe like I should say some examples like a day of adventure, follow the leader, or something where sporting events are involved. It could be something of an adventurous nature, and also, too, it could be a thing of enjoyment that maybe started, or something with a family member that's begun at this time that is Aries-like, such as something like a combative sport, such as karate, boxing, kickboxing, mixed martial arts, wrestling, something that could be Aries-like. It could be even mountain or rock climbing, and even or even something like a sport bungee jumping, something that is really like an adventure sport. So anyway, well, the next thing up is the full moon will be in Scorpio on April 29th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn. So at this time for Capricorn, well, Capricorn might become really exasperated, tired, even full, have had enough of manipulative, surreptitious, nefarious, even sneaky or controlling behavior from friends and acquaintances at this time. This could be a very strong outpouring also of intense, powerful, convoluted emotions even that may be directed at friends and acquaintances. And also too, this could be a time too where Capricorn, figuratively speaking, puts to death maybe certain friendships, ends the friendships. I don't mean literal death, but I mean just ending the friendship, or an acquaintance that they know, that maybe they've known for some time. Or even it could be a completion or culmination of a Scorpio-like aspiration or goal, such as something connected with the occult or astrology, the supernatural, magic, alchemy, locksmithing, psychology. And also it could be the conclusion of a major transformation, which could be tied into one's future as well. Anyway, next thing up is Mercury will be in Aries. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. It will be retrograde for about half the month. Now, this could be a time where Capricorn might experience more combative communications. They might be more angry, acrimonious ones at this time. And also where Capricorn is willing to speak up regarding home-related matters. And if Capricorn is not sure about certain roots or traditions, then this could be an ideal time where Capricorn will be rather outspoken regarding this. And also too, this could be a period, I mean, when Mercury is in Aries, it could really be about a lot of original and pioneering thinking at this time. And it could be maybe involved with maybe creating a home, or maybe some new ideas connected with it, and maybe just the expression of these ideas with family members and people you may be close to home with. But just remember also, when Mercury is in Aries, one has a little more of an inclination to become upset and exasperated if someone doesn't agree with you regarding a certain issue. So remember not to become overly upset if someone you're close at home with, or some prominent family member disagrees with something that you're saying, because, I mean, generally when people disagree, it's going to be generally constructive in most cases. So anyway, well, and also what I want to say before I go to the next thing is that given that you're going to have the Mercury retrograde for about half the month, there will be a little bit more review prior to speaking. Anyway, next thing up is Venus will be in Taurus as far as April goes, from the 1st until the 24th. So the 5th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, there could be a love of stability, routine, and tranquility with matters with children, matters connected with the love or romantic partner at this time. And really, and just having really be at peace, perhaps with things that are very enjoyable, your hobbies. And also too, this could be a very strong enjoyment of creature comforts and sensuality expressed with the lover. This could be about making money in a very persistent, deliberate, methodical fashion, which might be spent on children, lovers, things of enjoyment, and it might even be towards some kind of speculative venture or investment of something of a speculative nature. But given this is Taurus energy, remember this could be done in more ponderous like manner, and a lot of premeditation before going into something that could be a gamble or a risk. And Capricorn, if you're unattached, this could be a time where maybe you might connect with a prospective Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant significant other, or somebody that simply embodies Taurus-like characteristics. It could be someone that shares a hobby or creative endeavor you have, or somebody that you meet at some entertainment venue, such as a movie theater, or some kind of like a performance somewhere by somebody, like a Broadway kind of show. Anyway, next thing up is Venus will be in Gemini as far as April goes, from the 24th until the 30th. So the 6th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, well, I mean, when Venus is in Gemini, there's more of a propensity to have two lovers simultaneously. So this could occur perhaps at the workplace, or somebody that might be, people that might be prominent in your health life, in your daily routine. Also, too, this could be the love, enjoyment of communication and mental, intellectual stimulation with people in your daily routine. It could be also people that you might work with. It could be fellow employees, that are the people that you might be that you might service as well. Now, also, too, keep in mind that, I mean, if this is making, especially if this is making an inconjunct to one's actual ascendant, there is a chance of getting maybe some kind of health issue going on, since we're talking about the sixth house and then Venus and Gemini. Well, Venus is associated with the throat, Gemini the breath, so you could do I'm sorry, Gemini breathing. So there can be some kind of cold maybe that might arise. There's a little greater maybe proclivity, if you will, toward that at this time. That could be something throat and or breathing related at this time for Capricorn. So it's just something to look at this time. And you know, it's just one of those things. And remember that this is the enjoyment too of variety and diversity and multitasking, perhaps at work, or if you're like working out or you're doing some vigorous work. We're doing many different exercises at this time, because Gemini, of course, is about strong variety. So anyway, and also dexterity as well, doing things with the hands, such as working on auto or refrigeration mechanics, could be something that you might start to incorporate in the daily routine, or might become something connected with your work and employment. So anyway, next thing up is Mars will be in Capricorn, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be a time where Capricorn might be more energetic, enthusiastic, and more maybe even outspoken at this time than usual. Might be a little bit more acrimonious and be quicker to get irritated than usual. This could also be about a lot of strong, ambitious, disciplined, serious, and consistent energy connected with one's self-interest. It could be with new beginnings as well, and also maybe in matters pertaining to somebody that was prominent in the early childhood of Capricorn. Now, also, the libido will likely be increased at this time, and as well, there could be also, there might be more, I mean, you're talking about Mars and Capricorn energy. It could be more acrimonious in contentious situations with people connected in authority. This could be expressed very outwardly, since we're talking about the first house. And there's a little bit greater propensity for surgery, perhaps, on something Capricorn related, such as the knees, the bones, joints, or the skin even. So anyway, and well, the next thing up is, well, Jupiter will be in Scorpio, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. It'll also be retro as well during April. So remember, as I've talked about in previous videos, Jupiter can be somewhat paradoxical. It's very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. In this case, it's no exception. There can be an expansion, perhaps, of surreptitious, nefarious, and even manipulative behavior associated with friends and acquaintances at this time. And also, though, this could also be some luck and fortune connected with something Scorpio-like that is an aspiration or goal, such as astrology, the occult, supernatural, magic, alchemy, and also, too, perhaps some luck and fortune going beyond subterfuge and going beyond the superficial with friends and with acquaintances at this time. And also, this could be a time for Scorpio where there might be a very strong review, perhaps, of a profound, deep philosophy associated with one's future as well at this time, and maybe even friends and acquaintances they know as well. Anyway, next thing up is Saturn will be in Capricorn, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, well, there may be more restrictions and limitations with the physical body. than usual, which could cause a lot of despondency and making Capricorn feel somewhat melancholy. I have Saturn conjunct my Ascendant in my natal chart, so I understand with certain restrictions and limitations what the physical body goes. And especially true for Capricorn if this actually is in your first house, in your literal actual natal chart. And it might be more difficulties and limitations making that good first impression at this time, but it could also be about giving new structure and discipline to new beginnings. It's also going to be retrograde from the 17th to the 30th as far as April goes. So at that time, there could be a review of certain responsibilities and limitations that are associated with the self in general, the physical body, maybe even the outlook on life, and attempting to start new beginnings as well. And this could be about a lot of more maybe responsibilities and maybe laborious work associated with people that they knew from their early childhood as well. And there also could be a little bit more propensity than average to lose weight at this time, and especially during if this is actually hitting the Ascendant, or even in the vitality and stamina might be diminished as well at this time, especially if this is actually at the Ascendant in the natal chart, or even the Sun, because the Sun can be about our vitality and energy as well. So anyway, next thing up is Uranus will be in Aries. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, well, this could be about a period of very, the home life might be very erratic and sporadic at this time. Family members might be acting a little bit more unorthodox or unusual or bizarre at this time. Be very careful too at this time, Capricorn, because Uranus does rule electricity. There's a little greater possibility, perhaps an average, of getting some electrical shock. So if you're doing any wiring at home, just be exceptionally prudent and careful at this time. Wear the gloves or whatever you need to wear at this time. So also too, it could also be about unusual new traditions and foundations maybe as well. This could be something where computers and the internet electronic devices might figure more prominently in the home at this time. And also they could be used more to maybe gauge certain things connected with one's end of life. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying that the end of life is going to come necessarily at this time, but what I'm saying is that computers and the internet can be beneficial in terms of looking at what one needs to do, researching things on the web in terms of what may need to do in preparation for the latter part of one's life. So anyway, the next thing up is Neptune will be in Pisces still. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be about, in some cases, a dissipation, dissolving of maybe the relationship with siblings or neighbors. And even in some cases, it could be maybe something connected with speaking or the memory even. And especially if it's like an older person, or if the person is there's other things in the chart that might reinforce this, whether it's natal or whether it might be transit, say as, let's say for example, a transit Neptune making maybe a conjunction to the natal Mercury, or sometimes even it could be an adverse aspect made to the natal Mercury. So anyway, or third house ruler. But anyway, could also be too about where maybe brothers and sisters, communications in general, neighbors might be a little bit more nebulous and unclear than usual. They may also be involved maybe with some drugs or alcohol. There could also be an accident. In some cases this could be about an accidental chemical assimilation. Maybe if you're at a neighbor's home, or maybe a sibling succumbs to this. And also as well, it's imperative to look at the fine print in documents at this time, as you're really at this time, you're not quite as punctilious with details as usual during this time. And also it could be about the communication about dreams and other Neptunian-like things such as the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Another thing could be spirituality, photography, communicating through imagery, talking about chemistry, drugs, maybe what they can do to people, in terms of adverse effects, just those things in general, perhaps. So anyway, next thing up is Pluto will be in Capricorn still. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, for Capricorn, well, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but of course, I'm going to do it anyway. So here goes. This could be about perhaps a literal death in some people, to some degree, some Capricorn people, or it could be somebody that was prominent in one's early childhood, or maybe that had factored into new beginnings for Capricorn. Also, too, this could be, in some cases, this could be about maybe a transformation of the physical body. There could be some surgical procedure at this time, and it might be connected with something Capricorn related, such as the skin, the knees, the bones, or the joints. And there might be everything but a death obliteration. It might at least feel like it, of the vitality of the stamina, especially if this is actually hitting the ascendant or the sun in a natal chart. If it's hitting the moon, it's more of the emotional energy might take a hit at this time. But remember that Pluto is also about rebirth and regeneration, so one might be revitalized at some time afterwards. And also, too, this could be about giving power to new beginnings as well. And also, Capricorn needs to be careful about maybe overly obsessive or compulsive behavior at this time, or even manipulative behavior coming on, really with more of a power complex than usual at this time. So anyway, well, the next thing up is the North Node will still be in Leo, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, well, when the North Node is in transit, this could often be about issues one has to confront and address. And in this case, it could be about maybe somebody that they're in an intimate or sexual relationship with that might be somewhat arrogant, bombastic, overbearing, egotistical, even domineering. This could, or somebody that might be associated with a shared resources situation, such as some kind of joint account or business situation. This could be a time too for Capricorn where this could be strongly about approaching matters of transformation, major changes and crisis with a lot of that Leo-like courage, fortitude, and self-assuredness and confidence. This could also be, in some cases, even a surgery that might need to be addressed that might be associated with the something Leo-related, like the upper back or the heart, and even matters about maybe being maybe having to be a little bit more extravagant and generous, so to speak, over matters pertaining to taxes, insurance, and even going to other 8th house related things such as surgery, as I mentioned before, and maybe being more generous in terms of sharing resources and even perhaps giving more moral and emotional support to others. So anyway, next thing up is the Black Moon Lilith will be in Capricorn still, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, well, this could be about maybe an unveiling of maybe someone from your early childhood that might be exhibiting ruthless, tyrannical, overambitious, and even very cold and callous qualities. Somebody too, I mean, when you have a Black Moon Lilith, and it could also be about what may put one in a strong state of fright or trepidation. And in this case, it could be simply about maybe relinquishing one's authority on themselves and what they can do, and maybe having to be controlled, maybe not controlled, but maybe being directed to some degree, or being under someone else's auspices, so to speak. This could also be about a revelation or unveiling that Capricorn doesn't want out of the bag, but it comes out of the bag, so to speak, regarding maybe a very limited, restricting, and overly pessimistic negative outlook at this time. and also in some cases using maybe sexuality to attain ambitions as well, and especially if there's other things in the chart that might reaffirm this, such as maybe, say, for example, transit Mars making an adverse aspect to one's natal Pluto, for example. So anyway, or even natal or even transit Mars making an adverse aspect to one's Saturn, natal Saturn perhaps could be another example. So anyway, this could also be about the revelation or unveiling of a formidable Capricorn adversary. It could be a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply somebody that embodies Capricorn-like characteristics. And it could be somebody from the early childhood. It could even be somebody that was figured prominently in one's maybe perhaps their beginnings, perhaps new beginnings, or even the worst enemy could be themselves, maybe to some degree, and maybe it has something to do with an overly pessimistic or negative outlook, an overly skeptical nature. So anyway, next thing up is Chiron will be in Pisces as far as April goes, from the 1st until the 16th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Capricorn, this could be about some emotional wounds and suffering, perhaps connected with deception, duplicity in matters pertaining to neighbors, siblings, people in their daily communications, their short journeys. This could even be about, I mean, you look at Pisces energy, it could often be about dissipation and dissolving. In some cases, it could be about the actual ability to speak. If there's other factors, maybe through transit, natal chart, or what have you, that might reinforce or reaffirm this. Also, it could be about the dissipation of communications and even short journeys, maybe, and sometimes even the disappearance of things in some isolated cases, maybe during short journeys, such as losing a wallet. And also, too, this could be a time, too, where one's thinking might be a little bit more nebulous and unclear than usual, and going through some suffering and emotional wounds because of that, or even neighbors or siblings, people in their daily communications. Maybe they're dealing with people that have succumbed to some drugs or alcohol use at this time. But keep in mind, too, that Chiron is the wounded healer. So in the areas that one may be having difficulty, in this case Chiron and Pisces and third house energy, one could help others with a lot of that Pisces, like empathy, compassion, and self-sacrifice. Well, anyway, last but not least, Chiron will be in Aries as far as April goes, from the 16th until the 30th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time for Capricorn, well, when Chiron, I mean, a lot of times this energy could be about lack of worthiness, and in this particular case, it could be maybe to who you are at the core, or maybe family members, people close at home with, might be doing things that make you feel unworthy, whether it's inadvertent or unwittingly, or maybe even deliberately in some cases. This could also be about going through some emotional wounds and suffering due to perhaps to not being maybe not being aggressive or assertive enough in home-related matters, maybe trying to, maybe not capitalizing on maybe an opportunity to really get in touch, maybe find out more about your roots, your ancestry. I mean, you've heard, well, how could this happen? Well, if someone has money one time that they can go maybe do an online search, like Ancestry.com, and then winds up using the money for something else. Something like that is what I'm referring to. And also, too, it could be about maybe the lack of initiative and enterprise in forming new foundations. And this could also be, too, in some cases, it could actually be some emotional wounds and suffering connected with acrimonious and contentious situations with people you're close to home with, and or perhaps family members as well, or people prominent in your home life. So anyway, people, and also too, remember, as I described before with Chiron and Pisces, as far as Chiron and Aries goes, I mean, the areas that you might be having difficulty and struggles with connected with Chiron and Aries and the fourth house, you could perhaps help others out, and in the facing comparable situations and do so with a lot of that Aries courage, fortitude, assertiveness, and with a lot of outspokenness. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Capricorn April 2018 horoscope forecast. And stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be talking about what I believe, in my opinion, is the most difficult zodiac sign. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.